Welcome back to X-Ray in the Morning. I'm Kira Lindenberg.
I'm Hannah Rose now.
Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
How's it going?
Good, now that we're doing News with Friends.
Before it was terrible. She was basically crying all morning until we started doing News with Friends. Was that your baby cry?
Yeah.
I like Fridays because around 7:45 we get real loopy. It might be when the coffee kicks in.
Yeah, when we're just starting to wake up and we realize we only have 10 more minutes to do the rest of
all the news. All the news.
Get it going.
We have one more national story and then we should probably move on to Cascadia news, but
And we're not going to do it in accents.
we're not. Boring.
So the New Mexico governor pulls National Guard troops from the border. So Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham on Tuesday ordered the withdrawal of most New Mexico National Guard troops assigned to the state's southern border. Some troops will remain in the southwest part of the state to provide humanitarian aid assistance for migrants and asylum seekers who arrived in recent weeks.
Can we just take a moment to absorb that sentence? That's just beautiful. I'm sorry. That makes me really
I know.
happy.
It's like, what did I say?
No, sometimes when you're reading the news, it's hard to actually know what you just said. But you just said that the New Mexico has basically decided that rather than send their troops to the border to, I don't know, brandish weapons and try to
Pepper
keep
spray.
immigrants out,
Yeah.
they are providing humanitarian assistance for people who, as we have already seen, people emigrating to the U.S. border have already been dying and being put in cages. And New Mexico has decided that instead they're going to provide humanitarian aid.
Yeah, I appreciate the governor stepping in. And in a statement Tuesday, Grisham said, I reject the federal contention that there exists an overwhelming national security crisis at the southern border, along which are some of the safest communities in the country.
Amen.
Yeah. Also, if you have not seen her ad where she literally busts through walls,
Well, I haven't. No.
It's worth checking out.
Okay.
She's like in a power suit.
I'm sorry, like the Kool-Aid man, because that's what you.
No, yes, exactly. But she's in a power suit. Saying,
what?
Yeah. And it's
BRB,
really,
guys. I gotta go watch this.
it's really funny. I mean, it's good. And
It's a good message.
yeah, I like it. And she just like barrels through walls. And at the end, she's like, and this is what I think of Trump's wall. When she like just takes off through one. Exactly.
Do
like
we
the
live in
Kool-Aid
divisive
man.
times or what? Oh, very interesting.
Ooh.
We could go on for that about that forever, but we have precious few moments, so we should move on to some.
We have to go to local news.
We do. I really quickly want to mention our one international story is that that last year was, I think, the warmest year on record, and Earth's 5 warmest years on record have occurred since 2014, which I don't know there was only 5 years in there. According to information released on Wednesday, last year was Earth's 4th warmest year on record. Sorry, I said that incorrectly. For 2018, the average temperature across global land and ocean surfaces was 1.42 degrees Fahrenheit above the 20th century average. If data matches the forecast in the decade from 2014 to 2023, will be the warmest in more than 150 years.
And that can still be true even though we are experiencing the hemorrhage of the
Of the what?
of the Arctic cold.
Ah, yes. So I believe what you're saying is that you can still have a polar vortex.
Vortex.
Which
Why couldn't I remember? The
hemorrhaging of the polar cold is absolutely the quote of the day.
Yeah, it's coming for us.
I know we've talked about this 100 times and I won't harp on it because we should get to local news. But let's not forget that the whole polar vortex thing, the reason it is happening is because of global warming, because warming temperatures in the stratosphere is causing the polar vortex, which is usually, at the North Pole, to split apart, have less power, and so therefore is sort of, migrating down towards us. It doesn't mean that global warming isn't a thing.
You heard it here.
Probably not first, though. We've probably heard it 17 other times.
Well, it looks like in local news, the Oregon legislature treads carefully towards pricing carbon, so taking some state action on climate change.
Ooh.
This week, lawmakers in Oregon are formally introducing a bill to adopt an economy-wide cap and trade system, With support from Governor Kate Brown and other Democrats, House Bill 2020 builds on an earlier but failed version of a cap-and-trade legislation. Under this new bill, Oregon would set a cap on carbon emissions and require companies that emit 25,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide to buy pollution permits. The investment portion of the bill would cover things like home solar panels and weatherization, wildfire prevention, and drought protection, as well as job training and assistance for dislocated workers. It also prioritizes investment in low-income, tribal, and rural communities. With support from Governor Kate Brown,
and
we
other
already said, and other Democrats. Let's see, like Senator Michael Dembrow, Democrat from Portland, who helped to write the bill, says, quote, "This is a program that would be economy-wide. We would be capping emissions in the transportation area, manufacturing, electricity, home heating, and we need to do it right." Opponents to the bill say it would drastically increase energy costs for farmers, that manufacturing jobs would be lost, or that it does not go far enough to reduce carbon emissions. So it looks like you have opponents on both sides.
Sure.
Supporters of the bill are focused on the increasing cost of climate change, looking for job creation in the renewable energy sector, and income generated from selling carbon pollution permits. Taking stock in all of these challenges to the bill, Senator Dembrow said to fellow lawmakers on last Friday that the draft introduced this week will still receive a great deal of input and refinement before it comes up for a vote.
Yeah, that's going to take some serious fine-tuning, but I'm glad that we're
trying now on a state level.
Yeah, absolutely, that we're addressing these things. Because, I mean, I don't know enough about this bill to say whether or not... I don't know what was the opposition that it was going to manufacturing jobs would be lost, but I just can't help I mean, yeah, manufacturing jobs will all be lost if none of us can survive.
Yeah,
because we destroy the planet.
When I learn about these cap and trade, it's really, we're not stopping people from polluting. We're either making them pay for it,
right,
or eventually, by having to pay for it, you'll have to try to figure out how to do less, and then you'll do less. So that's what I'm always like. It's not like we're saying don't. We're like, if you do, you have to help pay to
absolutely
clean up the environment.
I love the argument that, a lot of people who are in opposition to things like carbon emission caps and taxes, well, I actually don't really know what their argument is because I can't wrap my head around it. But there seems to be this prevailing idea that, like, well, just leave the companies alone and they'll figure it out on their own.
Right.
Will they, though? Like, if they have no incentive? I mean, truthfully, if you're a company and your main goal is to make money, then your motivating factor is money. Like, yeah. I don't understand how you could possibly oppose that unless you're just trying to make money.
Hey. Yeah, but incentivizing different ways to make money, so renewable energy, right, or like saying you need to invest in these different areas to pollute less,
right, that
could potentially still make you money.
Yeah, I mean,
what's in that Green New Deal?
I
that
don't
New Deal.
We'll have to do our own investigation, Hannah.
Hey, you're listening to XRAY FM at KXRAY.
That went from Newsies to Muppet real fast. No, but keep going. Muppet voice it all.
And KQAC HD3 Portland at 107.1 and 91.1. I don't do the legal ID that often.
But you know what? I really appreciated your effort and I appreciated your Muppet voice.
Thank you.
We should talk about, there is actually lots of more local news. Portland extends a contract with group that reviews police shootings. On Wednesday, Portland City Councilors voted to extend a $200,000 contract with California-based OIR Group. Constantine. Whoa, that word
Severe.
Just like really threw me for a second. Constantine Severe, who is the director of the Independent Police Review, said that reports by the OIR group have led to more timely administrative investigations into police shootings and opportunities for the public to leverage facts.
But not less shootings.
Well,
that was commentary.
One step at a time.
That was commentary.
The group has released their more recent review, including analysis of the 2017, I'm going to say this wrong, Quincy Hayes shooting. I hate getting people's names wrong, and I do it every time. Just a few days before the vote. Hayes' grandmother, Donna Hayes, testified about the contract renewal and said, quote, "This report gave me a whole lot of information that I didn't know, and no one took the time to give me. I think they, the OIR group, are of value to this city, and I think it's necessary to keep them. Although some changes have already taken place, it is currently unclear whose responsibility it is to implement or track about 300 recommendations from years of the OIR group's reports."
Maybe it's the police. Maybe the mayor.
Who's policing the police? That's the reality. Mayor Ted Wheeler has proposed checklists, and Portland Police Chief Daniel Outlaw said that the Bureau could track the progress of the implementation. Well, good. I hope they do.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's good to know this group's existing and putting out recommendations, but
Here's
again,
something that we actually listen to them.
Yeah, let's listen to them, and then maybe we can actually not have to have a whole group that reviews police shootings. Here's hoping.
And they could just review all the great things the police are doing. It's one beautiful day. They'll just be like, well, now we just have to review all of like the gardens that the police are planting.
In other police news, Portland then approves payout for an officer who made racist remarks. So the Portland City Council voted 4-1 to approve a controversial settlement with a police officer. The officer, Sergeant Greg Lewis, made a racist remark about killing Black people. Lewis will get $100,000 of back pay and a 3-week unpaid suspension in exchange for his forced retirement.
Whoa.
He will not be eligible to work for the city again. Commissioner Nick Fish agreed with the settlement, but criticized the attorneys who presented the deal to the council. Fish said city leaders have been too quick to blame arbitrators for the city's own failure to negotiate over officer discipline with the union. Commissioner Joanne Hardesty was the sole vote against the settlement and agreed with Fish's criticism about the attorneys. Mayor Ted Wheeler, Chloe Daly, and Amanda Fritz also voted in favor of settling the case.
This is such a fascinating story. I'm glad to live somewhere where the city council is actually holding police accountable, because I feel like in a lot of other cities, I mean, yes,
Does that feel like they're holding them accountable?
Right, but I feel like in other cities, this would just get completely swept under the rug, and there would never be a hearing.
Okay, so in comparison, yes.
Right. I get that we don't live in a perfect world, and we don't, this isn't like the perfect solution, but I am glad that at least it's coming to the surface, because I have relatives that are police in other cities, and things that are way, way, way worse than this don't ever even get talked about. So all I'm saying is that I'm glad that we are not afraid to put this information out on the table and have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
I don't love that he's getting $100,000 of back pay.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if in the report about, I know this officer, excuse me, oh my goodness. I know this officer didn't shoot anybody.
It's the weekend. It's already the weekend. We're on the weekend, guys.
But I do wonder within the earlier report if some of the recommendations about how officers are treated after they are involved in a fatal shooting or non-fatal shooting talk about the payout and the being able to have unpaid leave for so long, because that part always gets me. I feel like a lot of the accountability will be like, if you see an officer who is involved in a fatal shooting, this definitely will happen to them. Like, just knowing that an officer can kill somebody on the job and have no repercussions is so bizarre.
Right.
To me.
Well, yeah, as it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not, I don't understand why we've gotten to this place where police, it's like we almost don't treat them like humans.
Yeah. And they're not supposed to be above the law because they're a part of the law.
But that is...
And I do understand that their job probably has higher risk than an office job.
Right, absolutely.
But also that means that they should be able to deal with that higher risk.
And if you know offhand that you're going to be held accountable, then like how will that change your actions?
Yeah.
It's a very good point. But if you know that you're going to get $100,000 payout, How is that going to change your actions?
And 3 weeks of vacation.
We've got about 2 minutes before we need to wrap, but I was hoping we could talk about this week's wild card story because I'd really like to try reading it in a BBC accent.
Okay, I want this for you too.
Okay, thank you so much.
I'm supporting you.
All right, give me a second here. Twitter discloses daily active user count for first time. I can't help it. Every time I do a BBC accent, I get the little, who is Robin, what's his name? The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. He always does the thing where he goes up at the end of his sentences. Twitter's daily active user count was disclosed for the first time on Thursday morning. 126 million, or 60 million fewer than Snapchat, and less than a tenth of Facebook's flagship app. That brings Twitter to 321 million monthly users, down from 326 million to the prior quarter. That's a tough word. Quarter. Twitter's... I'm sorry, we've gone off the rail. It's Twitter's lowest user figure in 2 years.
She wanted to do this because she's good at it.
I love it. Oh, yours is so like, My Fair Lady.
It's Ringo.
The rain in Spain falls mainly on the plain.
It's trying to be Ringo.
Oh, you are Ringo. Very Liverpool. My British friends are going to listen to this and be like, we disown you now. You have any other accents you want to try, Hannah? DJ Gray City?
Not today.
We'll practice and we'll bring them back for you next week. Don't you worry. Tune in next week and you'll hear all of our other. Maybe we'll do like a Australian Muppet. That's all I got nothing.
I'll try to do a Murphy Brown.
What is that? I don't remember what Murphy Brown sounds like.
She's just a cool woman news reporter.
Cool woman. Hannah, we always sound like cool women news reporters.
I'll try to really nail that first and then go out it.
Perfect. I love it. Well, that was News with Friends, brought to you by Morel Inc. Find out more at morelinc.biz. X-Ray in the Morning is also supported by our presenting sponsor, Tom Dwyer Automotive. Find out more at tomdwyer.com.
Up next, a new episode of X-Ray in the Morning's personal finance show, Oh My Dollar, with host Lillian Kerbeck and producer Will Romey. After that, Dylan Reef, Kara Moore, and Lauren Sinner of Kickstand Comedy join us in studio with their special guest of the week to discuss local stand-up.
Finally, we'll end with a new episode of Minority Retort with host Jason Lamb and his guest Tyrone Collins, a.k.a. The Real Hijinks, co-founder of the Northwest Black Comedy Festival. This is X-Ray. Radio is yours.